Hello there, my name is Damilola Ogunsi, also known as the Goldfish.
Hi, my name is Chiki Bright Emmanuel. I'm an actor and a filmmaker.
Hello peeps, my name is Yomi E. Adejimo.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul Utomi.
Hi everyone, my name is Stacey Benjamin and this is Voice of the People TV.
I need you to keep it locked to VOP TV. See, are you looking for good entertainment? You want to get good movies, good music, politics, talk shows, sports and entertainment. You really want a channel that gives you everything you need without you having to run around. VOP is where you are. That's Voice of the People.
If you're not listening to this, you're not one of us. And you deserve to be killed. Scrap chat. Don't be killed, but watch it. Or I'll find you. And I want you.
And you are locked on VOP TV. Don't go nowhere. This is where the juice is. This is where all you need for entertainment, politics, movies, and whatnot.
And keep watching VOP TV.
So keep it locked because I'm locked already, man, and it's money back guarantee. So you're gonna have a good time because I do.
And please keep watching VOP TV.
I won't want to actually, I beg you, subscribe, watch it. If not, whatever you see.
You better not touch that guy because VOP is the plot.
Are you ready for the extraordinary? Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing VOP TV. Now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOP TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
In a world where power shifts with every headlines, news breaks and events happens, we bring you unbiased and explicit information on politics, economy and state of the nation. We break down the chaos. Facts, not fluff. Truth, not spin. We discuss not just politics, but a glimpse into the future. Voice of the People Television. Now you have more than a voice.
To know the happenings in the maritime sector, join us on the program Maritime Frontiers on VOP TV as we discuss key areas in the maritime sector from aquaculture, maritime transportation, maritime labor regulation, oil and gas exploration, ferry and passenger insurance, marine pollution and prevention, port operations and lots more. Maritime Frontiers, exploring Nigeria's blue economy.
About the eagle.
Hello there, good morning and thanks for joining us on VOP this morning. I am Chukuma Okoro. In the next 2 hours, we are going to take you through very interesting stories. 3 of them major, 3 of them not minor anyway, but we'll just talk about those stories. Number 1, Senate says Nigeria not ready for electoral reforms, demands for real-time transmission. And when we move away from that, Obi defies system declares running under ADC. And finally, DSS files 3-count charge against El-Rufai for intercepting Ribadu'S phone conversation. Now, these are the major topics of discussion, but we also have other interesting trending stories that we will talk about in the course of the show.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jane Ogoye. The Lagos State government has moved swiftly to calm public uproar after a recent Court of Appeal ruling in Abuja barred vehicle inspection officers, VIOs, in Federal Capital Territory from stopping motorists, impounding vehicles, or imposing fines. Clarifying the situation, Lagos Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice Lawal Pedro San stressed that the judgment applies strictly to the FCT and does not invalidate the operations of the Lagos State Vehicle Inspection Service, VIS. He described viral claims suggesting nationwide applications as misleading, insisting that Lagos VIS officers remain legally empowered to enforce traffic laws across the state. The clarification comes amid widespread confusion on social media, where many motorists had celebrated the Abuja ruling as a blanket victory against VIO enforcement nationwide, a perception Lagos authorities says is both inaccurate and dangerous for road safety. So I'm thinking, why do we have two different laws, one in Abuja, one in Lagos? Because it's rather confusing. And I think it just goes to show that in Nigeria, law is not really nationwide, it's geographical. So while Abuja people are celebrating, Lagos people are why Abuja people are celebrating, Lagos people are like, when will it be at all? What do you guys think?
Well, I think that's the beauty of federalism. That's the beauty of federalism, because in a federal structure, you have the central government and the federated units. Now, the federated units are at liberty, to make their own laws. If you go to the United States of America, in some states, abortion is allowed. In some states, abortion is illegal. But in Nigeria here, we have what we call the penal code and what's the other code again? There are two codes, one for the north and one for the south. Then we used to have what we call the laws of Lagos State and the laws of the Federation. Yes. At some point. So now states make laws. Like in some states, it's capital, capital punishment if you are caught kidnapping. In some states, it's not. That's the beauty of federalism. Okay. Federalism actually means that you have small states, states in terms of mini sovereignty, that come together to surrender their sovereignty to the central government. Now, that's the beauty of it.
That's the argument where
No, it's not an argument.
Okay, well, that's
a fact. That's the beauty of federalism.
Some people are taking it from. Anyway, I'm Moses Humphrey, and welcome to the conversation. Well, Jane was just ready to dive into it without wasting any time. She's ready to go, always ready to go. But anyway, this VIO or VIS and then Abuja, Lagos, I think it should be resolved once and for all, because it's not the first time that we're having such. And then there's, you have authorities say, oh, because the lawsuit challenging the existence of VIS on the roads, or VIO on the roads, was instituted in Abuja, then it applies to Abuja. The complaints are nationwide. The complaints about the activities of vehicle inspection officers are nationwide. How they impound vehicles, how, I've given you my personal experience at some point on this show. I don't think I want to go back to it today, but it's just it's troubling. And then you start to ask yourself, what is the difference between Federal Road Safety Corps and vehicle inspection officers? What is the difference? Is it not duplication of activity, duplication of work, basically? So that's what we are saying. If we have a federal road safety marshals on the road, why then do we have those whose job description is to inspect vehicles? What are you inspecting? What is the job of the road safety officials?
The thing of it is this. The VIO, the Vehicle Inspection Service, VIS, is not a federal agency. It's a state agency. So each state has its own VIO, managed by the state. So you cannot go to...
VIS is a state agency?
Yes, it's a state agency. It's a state agency, unlike the FRSC, which is federal. So,
okay.
Now, but the argument you have is that if it's a state agency, why operate on federal roads? That's the argument. You get a contradiction now. Because at some point, lawyers will say, well, Federal Road Safety Commission, you are a federal agency. You cannot apprehend me on a state road. So, but in this case, VIS...
Another argument I'm putting forward is the activities are basically duplicated.
Okay, that's a different thing. That's another perspective.
That's the argument I'm putting forward.
Now, you'll also ask, why would a policeman ask you for a vehicle license that he didn't issue.
That's a different thing.
That one is
entirely.
different.
I'm trying to amplify the. I'm trying to amplify your
overlap
position.
duties.
Well, I'm trying to
He could
amplify
be
your position.
expecting the possibility of a stolen vehicle.
Okay.
Okay.
A stolen vehicle with
Yes.
your driver's license.
Did you say driver's license or vehicle?
Driver's
vehicles?
license.
Driver's license.
Oh, well,
because it is not. Police is not the issuing authority.
Okay.
Now, which agency is the issuing authority, which will technically and legally have the right to ask you for your driver's
Road
license?
safety.
So we have a lot of duplications of
But
our
don't you
laws.
think that's
But like
more
I
reason
said,
why
that
they
is
should collapse? They need to
how
collapse
do
a
you
lot
collapse them
a
between
lot of
state and
agencies.
federal? That is the problem. Some of them are federal agencies. Some of them are state agencies. But the contradiction is, if you are FRSC, Federal Road Safety Commission, FRSC, why will you why will you operate on a state road? And you meet some lawyers that say, "Oga, you are a federal agency. I'm on a state road," and they get into argument and all of that. And because the FRSC men, the officers, they know that, well, I'm not supposed to be on this road, then there's a problem and there's a stalemate. So, but like I said, that's the beauty of our federalism. Some of these laws are codified, and to the extent that our justice system is so that they overlap and intersect, against the benefit of the average Nigerian. So, if this law was the court held in Abuja, the suit was entertained in Abuja, basically about VIO in Abuja, it shouldn't take precedence. It shouldn't even move over to Nasarawa State, which is an adjoining state. So people in Lagos, if you don't want VIO to disturb you, Moses has gone to work. If you don't want VIO,
I need to clarify a lot of things.
If you want VIO,
I don't agree with a lot of things that has been discussed today.
If you don't want VIO to harass you, now go to court. We have state high courts here that have jurisdiction over state matters here. You go to court and thrash it out, and not depend on the suit filed by someone in Abuja to say, oh, it must apply here.
But even for the fact that Lagosians are sort of rejoicing, even though it doesn't apply to them, doesn't that tell you that this is what they wish? It's
not about. Don't you think that? If wishes were horses, beggars were right.
VIO is a federal agency.
Where did you find it? Okay.
VIO is a federal agency.
VIO
because if you even check the uniform,
what's their source? What's their source?
VIO website.
The website. Okay. Oh well.
VIO is state.
VIO is a state agency.
I just checked Moses. It's a state agency.
It's a state agency, state level agency.
So maybe they should do more sensitization. You see this conflict.
No, it's not about sensitization. It's about if you don't want. I think the fact of the matter is that people that operate the VIO offices, the people in charge, they should leash their men because they are men, they overreach themselves. You see what? They will see a smoking vehicle, a smoking truck. A smoking truck and all of that. They will not go after it, but they will see you with a brand new vehicle and they're just looking for wanted. Because I think they have a mandate every morning at a point in Lagos here, I used to dread them more than the police.
Those guys.
Because the police will even
should dread them.
The police will even listen to you, but
sometimes
they have a mandate.
Even see them, there's a way they will hide.
As you are going out this morning, and they will hide in places that you can't make a U-turn. You can't make a U. They have a mandate as you are going out this morning.
Okay.
You have to come back with a certain amount of money.
Of course.
So they will impound you.
They will impound you regardless of what
the offense is or what your plea. I mean, they will always find something. They would always find something. It's either your tire has expired or they would always find something.
That's why I said they will leave a smoking vehicle, and
because they can't make money.
Because they can't make money from it, but they'll see you very well dressed. They will just pack
and then you
profile you. And you don't have, and your triangle is broken. You are in trouble. So it's a lot. In Enugu, they are even worse.
Wow.
I'm telling you, in Enugu, they are worse. VIO. Anyway, let's move away from that. Tempers flared in Abuja as Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan of Kogi Central staged a dramatic protest over exclusion from the Senate Committee on the North Central Development Commission, accusing the leadership of deliberate marginalization and citing higher orders behind the move, where the confrontation reportedly escalated when she stormed the office of Committee Chairman Titus Tateng Gezam, demanding answers after discovering her name had been scrubbed from the official attendance list. Well, Natasha, who has long complained of systemic sidelining, warned that the exclusion undermines fair representation for her constituents and the wider North Central region. Well, I think Natasha has problem is on end, and I don't know who is after her. The people that went after her before, I'm sure they are not yet done with her. So they are trying every means possible to ensure that they reduce her influence, and her capacity in the Senate. And I think the whole thing is tied to 2027, where a certain group of people don't want her back to Senate because they want a certain former governor, talking about Yaya Bello, to come back to Senate. So they are trying everything, to, make sure they reduce her influence over the, not her constituency and all of that. But how far would they succeed in doing that? And it speaks to the larger issue of the kind of democratic culture that we are building. Politics shouldn't be a do or die affair. We have seen it happen, in recent times. People make some statements that on the scale of justice, on the scale of morality, you can't even find them worthy. And we are carrying on as a people. I don't know where we are headed. I keep complaining about the kind of democratic culture that we are building, because I know people that started long before us, like over 150 years, even before we got independence, but because they were not properly cultured and structured, they are still grappling with it. In some parts of Latin America, I keep going back to that place, but if you go to Europe, the kind of political culture they built is that institutions run, outside the influence of individuals. No matter, even if you have a dollar to occupy that position, the person, because the institution has been structured along certain lines, the person is most likely to perform like average or above average. But here, what we need is strong men. Unfortunately, those strong men are not able to build institutions. What is happening to Natasha is not a fair deal for her. And the earlier the leadership of the Senate leaks into it, I mean, if she had been penciled down as a member of that committee, why remove her even without notice, without even giving her upfront information? Wait, you are no longer a member of this committee. And it goes a long way to show that, well, she's been persecuted for her position in the Senate. And that is not fair, if you ask me.
Oh, yes, it's not fair, what she's going through. And the fact that they seem to be wanting to make way for former governor of Kogi State, Yahya Bello, it's not just him. It's the fact that governors see the Senate as, the next point of call when they leave office as governors. You serve, you're lucky, you do 2 terms, and then the next thing is jump into the Senate. Unfortunately for him, Natasha beat him to it. Basically, regardless of the activities, the things done to prevent her from getting into the Senate, roads were, cordoned off, roads to her senatorial district were cordoned off, making it almost impossible for people to go and vote. But then the votes still happened in her favor, and she's there. She's had quite the fallout. And, this particular meeting, I understand, was slated for 10 a.m. And we're told that when she got there, the meeting had ended. And the question that came to mind, was, did she get there before 10? Or did she get there later than 10? If she got there later than 10, then I don't see the point in arguing. I don't see the point in arguing or trying to find out what happened, why the meeting held in your absence. But if she got there before 10, I wasn't aware where the meeting was being held, then that's a different ballgame entirely. But this is not exactly about Natasha now. It is her own aide with the senators, the other senators' aide. They were the ones that had the fallout. But all of this can be resolved. I hope that all of this... Okay, she's just there. She's making a recording of the incident.
Now, the question would be, why would it prevent her aides,
prevent her from entering?
Prevent her from entering if the meeting had ended. They would have simply allowed her into an empty hall and she would...
No, she went to the office. She went to the other senator's office.
Okay.
To inquire why she was not at the meeting or something.
I think there's a gender layer there that we are not, that we are ignoring. Sadly, I can't ignore it because I'm a woman.
I'm not sure there's a gender layer.
No, there's a gender layer there.
I thought we were done with the gender thing.
No, we aren't.
Please
let me speak. Mr. Okoro, let me speak.
See, this is a gender thing.
Let me speak. So, in Nigerian politics, when a woman is vocal, she is automatically termed as troublesome. Sadly, in Nigeria.
Yes, we don't know. You are just telling us.
Okay, we know. We know these things.
Know.
We see it.
Okay.
And Natasha, being who she is, outspoken, despite she looks calm, she looks soft, but all of these things has made it very, very impossible for her to really make those strides. I mean, starting from when she had the issue with the Senate president, let's just say that was the beginning of all of the tribulations she appears to be, experiencing now. And it also goes to show how our internal politics is structured.
I think the Senate president is the one representing you in the Senate.
Yes,
you are representative.
Yes,
the Senate president.
Yes, he is.
Okay,
he is.
You just have to emphasize.
I know what I see what you did there. It also shows that if a serving lawmaker can be excluded from a sitting because of an invisible directive without her knowledge. So where does the average Nigerian stand here? If somebody can be excluded from her rights, what she should, ordinarily have rights.
If a representative of the people, and we're talking nothing less than 500,000 people, could be
sidelined, excluded from such a very sensitive,
excluded from Senate activities for
exactly.
6 months.
That's to show, and then this one.
That's troubling.
It's troubling,
that
really.
means the people were not represented, their views were not brought before the Senate for 6 months. They were basically locked up in a room and kept away somewhere. Quite unfortunate. But I do hope this will be resolved.
Because it's shameful.
Yes, I do hope it will be resolved in good time. Like I said, I'm not privy to so much information in this regard. I don't know if she got there later than the scheduled time. If she got there later than the time that the meeting was slated for, I won't see the argument in this. But if she got there before the scheduled time and was kept away from the meeting, then this should be taken up. Oh well, let's move away from the Senate and talk about some party politics now. The African Democratic Congress, ADC, has fiercely condemned Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike over a reported declaration of war against anti-Tinubu candidates ahead of the February 21, 2026 council elections, warning that such rhetoric risks inflaming tensions and undermining Nigeria's fragile democracy. In what has been termed a strongly worded statement, ADC National Publicity Secretary Bolaji Abdullahi accused Wike and the ruling All Progressive Congress APC of attempting to intimidate voters, stressing that it is ordinary Nigerians, not President Bola Ahmed Tinubu or any government official, who will ultimately decide the outcome of the polls. The party described Wike's remarks as reckless and dangerous, insisting that the will of the people must prevail, despite what it sees as growing desperation by the APC to maintain control in the capital, not just in the capital, in the states where they sit as governors as well. You have Wike saying it is only those that support President Tinubu that he will support in the council elections in the FCT, which is troubling, really. It's troubling. And then you hear a representative of the people in Benue say, look, if you don't have your NIN, you will not access health care. If you're not registered, if you're not an APC member, if you're not an APC member, and you have your NIN linked to your voter's card, you will not access health care and basic amenities, And then you come to some other parts where you hear people say, oh, you have to be a member of the APC before you can be considered for job appointments in the state civil service and the rest. So it's a trend. It's a trend that we've seen, that we've seen. So the civil servants are not even, protected in all of this. You have to, ordinarily, you hear that civil servants should not be partisan, but we seem to have shifted away from that. You need to align to how to benefit from anything in Nigeria of today. And it's troubling because it just means that the people will not openly and boldly share their stance when it comes to political alignment. They would have to, go align with somebody to benefit what government ordinarily should give them for free. So it's a troubling time for us in Nigeria. And, it's a good thing that the ADC is speaking up, and other parties and other politicians should also speak up in this regard. Statements made by certain officials, certain government officials, especially those under the APC, should be looked into, and I think they should be warned to desist from making such statements, as that can cause big problems in Nigeria if care is not taken.
Yes, if care is not taken. But something tells me that APC is gradually, digging its own grave, because the way they are traveling, I know my people, Nigerians, we might be docile, at some point, we turn that docility into resilience. If we were able to push people like Babangida and Abacha, while Abacha, by nature's own admission or by nature's own permission, he was pushed aside. But even at that, Nigerians were already gearing up to take him, to push him out of office. No, the APC, their desperation is too much. If you go by the way they are taking things, they seem to think that, well, it is either APC or nothing. And that is what Nigerians don't take. In the build-up to the 2027 election, they have done everything, and unfortunately, it is from top to bottom. The president is the one, that is even doing all of these things. He goes to Edo State and says, do you want Edo State? He's asking APC faithful, do you want Edo State? And they say, yes. He said, I'll give you Edo State. Practically telling Nigerians that he's going to influence the Edo elections. And that was what we saw. And we have Edo State governor tell us, if you don't wear the president's cap, you don't come into cabinet meeting. If you don't wear the president's cap, you don't access contracts and all of that. And in Akwa Ibom State, we hear the governor say, well, if you are not that very well, you will not empower opposition parties. But then it's not something that you come out to the public to talk about. And in Benue State, we see a lawmaker says, until you have APC card, until you have APC card, you are not going to access certain social benefits. That is deeply troubling. And the way they are going, we already have about 29, 30 states now, within the kitty of the APC. Yeah. But that doesn't translate necessarily to votes. Nigerians at the right time is going to make their statement. But ADC, they should step up. They should step up, because what we are seeing, it's not a very good picture, because if we get into it, what might happen is that, well, there might be some kind of conflagration. Nobody prays for that, but they shouldn't lead us to that, because Nigerians, like I said, will not take that from anyone.
Hopefully, we will not take that, and we won't sell our votes again, our rights again in 2027. But away from that, I think what we should also not ignore is the fact that we have normalized political intimidation. It's now normal.
It's the APC that is doing that. PDP wasn't.
Yeah, APC is too. I don't know. We are used to, we will crush opposition. We will send them this, we will do that. And we forget that some of these rhetorics are what shapes perception and even attitude, even before even before political violence, takes off. Sometimes it begins from words, rhetoric such as this. So I think we should hold our political government officers. We should hold them accountable. You can't just make very sweeping remarks like that can incite people. It's not nice at all.
It's not nice, but what is nice is for us to go to the papers right now. So let's go to the papers. Nigerian Tribune, the window headlines here. Nigeria's inflation eases to 15.10% in January. NRS announces phased rollout of e-invoicing electronic fiscal system. DHQ announces arrival of 100 U.S. troops. We had 200 the other time. Now it's 100. Okay. And then the big story. FG charges El-Rufai over NSA phone interception. EFCC grills him on corruption allegation. Protesters storm Kaduna Assembly, demand update on his probe. And then list of regularized area council land allocation approved for issuance of offer of statutory rights of occupancy in the FCT. 2 killed as 10-man gang of suspected bandits engage police in Okeogun. And then U.S. sanctions 8 Nigerians over links to Boko Haram, ISIL, cybercrimes. Freezes their assets, bars American companies, citizens from conducting transactions with them. Okay, I wish they would tell us who these people are. 8 Nigerians. Okay. Alafin calls for urgent action in 3 Kwara communities over terror threat. And then, on health, twice yearly injections may transform hypertension treatment. Lancet review. All right, twice yearly. Okay, so those are the headlines on the cover page of Nigerian Tribune.
And the Punch leaves with 432 billion naira probe. EFCC detains El-Rufai. DSS on standby. Ex-governor grilled by EFCC as federal government files charges over alleged NSA phone tapping. DSS reopens Dayeyata case. Seizes passports, summons sons for questioning. Rival protesters clash at EFCC headquarters in Abuja and Kaduna Assembly Complex. Court remands suspected killers of South African-based Nigerian students. Federal government to borrow 800 billion via February bonds. Arrest made after 2 die on Lagos film sets. Food inflation falls to 14-year low. Kwara, Niger map out joint counter-terror plans. 2027, Kano Central to APC plans, says Shetima. 65% of Nigerians demand lower interest rates as MPC convenes. That's a report. 2027, National Assembly eyes January 16th for presidential poll, suspends electoral bill harmonization. And that's it on the front page of the Punch.
And let's quickly run through the Vanguard with on top of the window headlines. Inflation rate eases marginally to 15.1% in January. Now the window headlines. Visa fraud overstays by Nigerians may attract stricter scrutiny. United States warns. Boas MOU with Abu Dhabi Ports, Maya Group. Tinubu hails Nigeria UAE industrial breakthrough. 2027, political class leveraging chaos to undermine elections. That's coming from Itodo. Now, the big story. EFCC quizzes El-Rufai over alleged 432 billion naira fraud. 3 South Africans charged over murder of Nigerian boat driver. Another big headline, Electoral Act, hide and seek game in Abuja as reps avoid joint meeting. So many riders there. And social media network X back online after global outage. Tinubu commissions projects in Adamawa. 2027, NSCIA demands review of election timetable. 3.7 million IDPs. Federal government woos private sector for durable solution. And that's it from the Vanguard newspaper.
And that's how far we can go in newspaper headlines at this time. We'll get deeper 10 o'clock during newspaper review. So now let's get into the conversation. Senate says Nigerians are not ready for real-time transmission, while protesters have returned to the National Assembly gate demanding real-time e-transmission of results. Let's talk about this when we come back. Stay with us.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
Good evening, Africa. My name is Bama Kore, actor, model, producer, and I'm giving a big shout out to VOP TV, man. Keep watching. Don't change the dial. Thank you and God bless you.
My name is AY, and of course, I represent the voice of the people, and that's why I'm on VOP. AY say so.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Miriam Tima from the Real Housewives of Lagos and the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Africa. Shout out to VOP, the voice of the people. You already know. Stay tuned, keep watching. And don't forget, VOP is the best.
All right, hello, everyone. It's about that shaking man fine back with Melanie Poppy Black Skin Boy. This is VOP TV. If you're not watching VOP, I don't know why you're watching. Maybe you're watching your weights.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Walojo, and you're watching VOP, Voice of the People.
Hi, guys. You already know who it is. This is New Energy. Flyers boy ever live. Keep watching VOP TV. Thank you.
Hi, people. Jenny Albano here. Guys, please keep watching Voice of the People.
In a world where power shifts with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing.
And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
Mr. Ofamilani, and here's to VOP TV. Keep watching, stay tuned, do not touch that dial.
Arara, my name is Made Kuti, and you're watching VOP TV. Keep watching.
Welcome, my name is Zika Davis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys, viewers, everybody, boys and girls. This is VOP TV. Do you know what that means? Voice of the People TV. You don't have a voice, don't come here. You better make sure your voice is heard.
Ready for the extraordinary? Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing VOP TV. Now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOP TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People Television. Don't just react, understand. Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I. From social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance and more.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. And if you are just joining us, this is VOP this morning. Now let's get into it. Protesters returned to the gates of Nigeria's National Assembly in Abuja, demanding that lawmakers make real-time electronic transmission of election results mandatory ahead of the 2027 polls. Chanting slogans and waving placards, the demonstrators argue that only instant digital reporting can guarantee transparency and restore public trust in the electoral process. Their demand comes amid growing frustration with the Senate, which has repeatedly cited poor network infrastructure and unstable power supply as reasons Nigeria is not yet ready for full-scale e-transmission. While viral videos from the protest show citizens accusing politicians of deliberately stalling reforms to protect entrenched interests. Inside the Senate, Majority Leader Okoyemi Bamidele insisted real-time transmission is desirable. Nigeria's current technological limitations make it impractical, warning that rushing the process could compromise credibility rather than enhance it. Well, let's bring in our guest. We have in the studio here with us Prince Francis Chilaka, who appears here in the capacity of a political affairs analyst. Good morning to you, Prince, and thanks for joining us.
Morning.
What for?
The jet's going out.
Oh, really? And you are supposed to be going up.
It's going down like Nigeria.
No, Nigeria is not going down. I disagree with you. Nigeria is not going down. Oh, well, beside him, we also have Barrister Atta. Barrister Atta is a lawyer and political affairs analyst. And he appears here in the capacity of a political affairs analyst. This is not a courtroom. So you are going to help us analyze and all of that. Give us legal perspectives, to the issues in this course. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Yes.
Okay. In the course of the show, we'll be joined by guests from our station, but let's stick with the ones here in the studio. Now, Prince, in football, let's go local. In our local parlance, they say don't play overhead. Looks like what the Senate did when they quickly reconvened last week. There was some kind of overhead, telling us that they had to cut short their research to come back, to listen to us. And when they came out, they said, they went back to where we left off, which is hybrid. Electronics, where possible, and manual. And at some time, it looks like, Nigerians are quieting that. But when Nigerians realized it and they went back to it, I said, look, this is not what we want. But what the feelings we get from Senate is saying, I'm sorry, Nigerians, at this time, we are not fit technologically, to go e-transmission of results. Do you agree with the Senate that we are not fit in terms of the technological substructure that we need to transmit elections results electronically?
It has nothing to do with infrastructure. It has nothing to do whether we are ready or not. It all has to do with the fact that the senators want to rig the election. A lot of them are worried and scared to their pants that if a proper, free and fair election is conducted, a lot of them won't come back. That doesn't even start with the Senate president. I remember after the election, Richard said something on the floor of the Senate. He says, Lawan and Pablo, they need to tell him the trick they played, how they did it to come back. And he needs to go to their school to learn how they came back. That statement was filled with so much meaning. So for me, 2023 was an eye-opener for Nigerians to know that you can actually buy a form and not campaign and win an election in Nigeria. It's possible.
Okay.
So for me, the way it stands today, the Senate has gotten, they should know that Nigerians are becoming more conscious politically, and Nigerians are ready to take back their country.
Okay, now Prince, that's from the political angle to it, according to the way you see it. Now, let's interrogate the real issue that they raised, which is technological stability in terms of internet connectivity, network connectivity. We have about 176, call it 177,000 polling units in this country. So what that means is that we are going to deploy 177,000 device machines across the length and breadth of this country, with difficult terrain, where there is network. And what the Senate told us, I don't know if you've been able to confirm that in 9 states, they don't have stable internet connectivity. So we are already grappling with 9 out of 36 plus Abuja. In all of that, in all honesty, let us interrogate these things. I mean, you and I, we are having conversation. Sometimes you have downtime. We have drop calls and all of that. Do you think, in fairness, let's look at it away from politics. Do you think that we have that capability?
Okay, now you've raised an issue that is piquing me right now. Okay. And I'm going to ask you this question, even though you're...
No, I'm the one asking questions.
See, every now and then, you hear government says, we're doing cash transfer to vulnerable Nigerians. Or poorest of the poor, as they want to identify them. And they say the poorest of the poor are located in deep down Nigeria, where you and I are saying there's no network. So how
where they are saying
there's no network, how do they transfer this money?
Now,
how do these people receive the money?
That process, does it require real-time application? I mean, it's something that you could, if there's no network now, I could do it next week.
No.
But in the election case, the moment you done...
The fintechs are operating real-time. Everybody has given... No, calm down, Okoro. Don't be in a hurry.
No.
Everybody has given INEC a solution. INEC got 300 and something billion in the last election.
313.
In this election, they're asking for 1.something trillion.
We're asking for 878 billion. And for this year, 177. Okay.
So, question is, what are they doing about money? We have given, people in the IT industry have given them solution.
Okay.
And I don't want to mention the name, but they've given them solution. There is solution.
There is solution. Now, let's bring Barrister Atta into this conversation. I'll ask you the same question, Basically, do you think that we have the structure to do e-transmission? In all fairness, from your understanding, And mind you, we are looking at real-time e-transmission. The moment you collect the results and you put it on form EC8A, the electoral officer signs, the party agent signs, and you transmit FIAM. Do you think that we can do that in 177 locations across Nigeria in real time?
Let me say this openly. Whether electronic transmission, whether manual transmission, or whichever way we brand it, our politicians are going to rig the system. They are experts in this field. Like I said it last time, I belong to an association. That's just an association. I don't want to mention the name, a professional association, wherein we're conducting electronic voting, thereabouts. And then before 12 noon in the day, election is alleged to have been rigged. How will you brand that for a professional association? For an electronic voting, per se, where you sit down in your house, you vote and all those things, people see hack into the system. They have access to the system. Away from that, as it is right now, we don't have what it takes to conduct.
So in essence,
but however, I have the impression that the fund is there. We can intensify.
In essence, are you saying that we should leave it in this form, the hybrid form, because whichever way it will be rigged? Is that what you're saying? Because Nigerians feel in 2023, a lot more Nigerians decided to come out to vote, overcoming voter apathy because there was faith in the BVAS, there was faith in the IREV, and that was what INEC, pushed out there. That was the information. And look, come out and vote. Your votes will count because the bimodal voter accreditation system will ensure that everybody is captured. IREV will ensure that your votes count. Until Nigerians came out and defied the rain and attack by some hoodlums and the rest, they came out to vote. And unfortunately, a lot of it were not transmitted, to the IREV. Some Nigerians were viewing the elections, especially the presidential elections, on the IREV and following the process. Don't you think the idea that the process can be followed from wherever people are is enough to, give Nigerians trust in the system and reduce cases of contesting election results in courts? Don't you think that's what Nigerians are fighting for, not whether they read...
I agree with the fact that we are all saying that electronic transmission should be the way out. But however, it's important that we tell ourselves the truth. And I'm in support of the fact that we should go electronic based. The truth is the fact that whether e-transmission, Whether whichever way we elect to go,
it will be rigged.
It will be rigged. These people
Okay,
are ready.
but
however, we need to start from somewhere.
But the magnitude might be reduced.
Well, okay, let's take this. How will you feel? And then you see that when they are collating the result, you see that Tog will now, hoodlums will now come and interrupt. And you can't even collate the result. You can't even transmit it. How will you justify that? So we need to look at underneath what is the real issue, vote buyings and all those things. Those are the issues.
Barrister, you have met two issues here. You know,
Yes.
even if we have that system in place,
yes,
politicians are still going to win the election.
Yeah, as it is right now.
Now, okay, these are two different issues. But I want us to basically your position now, where in terms of structure, technological backbone, we cannot. We don't have that stability.
Yes, but however,
there should be a starting point.
Yes, and then number two, the fact that the fund is there. The fund is there, so invest the money, and then you get experts and professionals to see how you can get the best. Well, all this money are given to INEC. They are not just mere cosmetics. They are there for a purpose.
All right. Well, let's take this conversation to Benin, where we have Emmanuel Agbogun joining the conversation. Good morning to you, Emmanuel.
Yeah, good morning, viewers at home, and good morning, Nigerians.
Welcome to the conversation.
You can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Welcome to the conversation. We're waiting for your video feed so we can see your face as well. But let's look at real time. Real time definition. I had to, real time, the actual time during which a process or event occurs. That's real time. The actual time it occurs. So if you're watching a program on television, you're watching a protest on television, you're watching real time as it's happening. The television stations are there covering it. That's real time. Now let's look at some statements made by Senate leader Senator Okpeyemi Bamidele. A few things that he said. Let's x-ray his words really and how that makes you feel. Now he said that Nigeria's mobile network speed, according to a research actually conducted by Speed Test Global Index, they've ranked Nigeria 85th out of 105 countries in mobile network reliability, and then 129th out of 150 countries in fixed broadband reliability. Now, according to him, Nigeria's mobile network speed averaged 44.14 megabytes per second, which is not impressive, if you ask me. Significantly lower than countries like, the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Bulgaria, and some other countries. And now, the Senate leader, Okpeyemi Bamidele, also pointed to power supply challenges, noting that about 85 million Nigerians, which is roughly 43% of the population, 43% of the population, lack access to grid electricity, power grid electricity. How does that make you feel? 43%. And this is what has been pushed out there as reasons why we cannot have, real-time transmission of election results. 43% of Nigerians are not connected to the grid. And Nigeria is, what now, going on 66. How does that make you feel when you think about government and its activities? What our leaders have done so far in providing power for the people, electricity for the people. In line with this argument now, how does that make you feel?
Firstly, I must say categorically clear that I am very, very disappointed in the way and manner the power issues have been handled in this country. You see procurements for generating power plants being done, and those power plants, would not meet the installed capacity as to generating power for the overriding interest of Nigerian people. But however, we believe that if government shows the political will to actually get these things done at state and federal level. Because at today, the hitches of state governments generating power for their people, I think, has been set aside by the law passed by Mr. President. So some of us should be seeing states that are financially independent, like Lagos, like Rivers, like Delta, and some other states that are also doing well financially, to go into IPPs, independent power plants, that could actually generate power for their people, owing to the fact that the government of the day has thought it wise to say they want to give Nigerians power. Now, if you ask me in person, what do I really think? I think government is intending, or rather spending so much in putting everybody on the national grid. People should be allowed to access renewable energies from government at no cost.
Okay. I don't want us to move away from the crux of the matter here. The crux of the matter is electronic transmission of results. If you juxtapose it with unavailability of power, that's the crux of it.
Okay, yeah, but your question initially
yes. I don't want us to move away. It's around it.
Okay. Now, what I was trying to say, particularly when it has to deal with this issue of real-time transmission, you agree with me that you find yourself in some communities where you have to go to certain corners to get network to transmit. That is the real fact in issues. But the question to ask is, I see a lot of people talking about real-time transmission. The question to ask is, these IREV and beavers that we're talking about, how does it show credibility in our elections? For crying out loud, you don't need a network to operate the beavers, to give you accreditation of voters who actually came to the field to vote. You don't need network to connect to beavers. What beavers does is that beavers captures the person in real time on the voting center and store that information.
So don't you need network to transmit that from the beavers to the IREV?
Sorry?
Don't you need network to transfer or transmit that information?
That is
to
after
the IREV?
You must have finished voting. You don't need network to operate the beavers while you are doing accreditation and voting. What the beavers does is that the beavers give you the credibility of the persons, the individuals that are coming before the polling units to vote. Because in time past, before we had the beavers, people just sit down and thumbprint and do a lot of manipulations with the voters register in any polling unit across the country. But since the inception of beavers, you agree with me that has drastically reduced, except in some areas where you see that they try to boycott beavers and boycott all the electronic processes, which I believe is largely condemnable. But if you should ask me also to the issues of real-time transmission, I will tell you we cannot as a people achieve it. But in very highly populated areas where votes turn out in millions and in thousands, I think there are network in majority of these cities, and people should be able to transmit what the votes are. If you look at the areas where there are no network, you yourself, of course, would know that the populations there are not as much as the populations within, the highly populated areas.
All right. Okay.
Agree with me if you see issues with me on this fact.
Well, it's not my position to agree with you or disagree with you. I just want your take on it. But anyway, we'll bring you back to the studio, and then we'll like for you.
Let me quickly say this.
No,
please.
We'll like for you to adjust your video feed. I think you need to. It's turned upside down, so we need for you to rotate it.
Okay. Do you want the portrait?
Landscape will be better. Okay, I think it's better now. Yes, I'm being told it's better now.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
All right.
You were about saying something.
Yeah, what I was trying to say here is this. Majority of our people that actually deal with the issue of election manipulation, in those areas where the real result needs to be transmitted in real time, their network in those areas. Because in those rural areas where you don't have the population, the network provider doesn't create as much network as you need in those areas. But I can assure you, and if you go into a fact check, you see what I'm saying is a clear fact. There is no highly populated area in Nigeria today that you don't have good network.
Okay. All right then. Thank you very much, Emmanuel Agogo. Let's bring it back to the studio now. Prince Francis, I already know that you don't agree with the position of the Senate on this one, but do you think pressure mounted on them by protesters and Nigerians will make them shift ground?
We should ask ourselves one question before we go to that. Why did the House of Rep see the need
to reconvene?
No. See the need in their own submission. Why did they go for transmission? Why did the House of Rep do that? Because they believe and they know it is possible. The senators are just being greedy, selfish, and wicked.
No, but what they've said
the
is
senators are not being sincere with Nigerians.
And then where transmission is not possible.
This is a talk for rigging. We know how these people work. We understand how these Nigerian politicians behave. How much do senators earn? All they do is sit in that house. What have they done to better the lives of Nigerians? We're asking for simple things. We want this country to move forward. We want Nigeria to develop. The only day Nigeria will start developing is when we get our electionary process right. If we don't get it right, this country will not move forward.
Prince, will it be better, from your assessment of the situation? Let us now start with electronic transmission. Even if we achieve like 45, 50, 55, 60% of it, is it okay?
Let us start from there. If you are talking of electricity, government can afford to buy a pass my neighbor generator. INEC has that money.
Okay.
INEC has the money.
To buy 100 and...
it doesn't matter how many.
176,000.
They can buy it. They can afford it.
I'm talking about INEC. Some people have advanced this argument. Well, INEC, you are going to receive about ₦1 trillion. Why don't you deploy it to technology? When has it become the work of INEC to get into telco business?
INEC should discuss with the relevant authorities to give them what they want.
Or should it be the responsibility of government to say...
No.
Some people are also saying...
Okoro, INEC is the umpire.
Okay.
If they need anything to make their work easy, they know what to do. They know what to do.
No,
it's like your head of, if you are in this place, you have head of programs. If you need anything to make your programs seamless, he or she knows what to do.
Prince, now some people are advancing this argument. Well, if we are looking at the substructure, upon which the technological structure will be built, why don't Nigerians, first of all, the way they are taking the Senate, accountable about this e-transmission, why don't you hold the government accountable first in terms of provision of power and then the provision of internet connectivity?
Which government? The government that is moving is...
so if we can't do
let
that...
me finish.
No, Prince,
the government are coming. You ask the question. Let me answer your question.
I have not finished my question. If we, according to... I had not even finished when you cut in to say, which government? Now, if we can't hold that same government accountable, to provision of power and internet connectivity, what gives you the impression, the guarantee, that we can hold them accountable to giving us e-transmission?
If you ask...
like we are trying to build something on nothing.
Okoro, in an organization, there's a structure that the organization relies on. If the chairman of a business enterprise issues a directive to the MD, and the MD knows that for me to achieve this thing, I need 1 million. The MD knows where to go and get the 1 million from. If we hold INEC responsible for the inadequacies, INEC should hold the federal government responsible. INEC should come out and tell Nigerians that we are not able to do this because the federal government has refused to do this. Then it becomes easier for us to know how to do it.
Barrister Atta, let me take you up on this. If the law, the Nigerian law, actually has already given the manual backup as an escape route, don't you think the Nigerian law is actually designing a system where failure is already anticipated and is being protected, sort of?
No, I think we're getting it wrong, per se. If you look at the build-up towards the 2023 election, some recommendations were made, and then we tried our best, but INEC could not get it right. It's based on that you see that the immediate INEC, what is it called? Mr. Let me call that is a slogan. Mr. Election is declared inconclusive. That's the slogan under his era. He came out and then they made series of suggestions per se. And based on that, it was on that basis that people are pushing for this electronic transmission. So we don't know what is happening. Why is the INEC, why is the National Assembly now saying that we can't allow it to flow when INEC is saying amend this law in such a way that we can go electronic based? We cannot continue to operate in an analog world where some people will be feeding fat, a product of corruption, and then we are not getting results. But in any event, now that the National Assembly have said that we cannot go electronic, full electronic based 100%, why I'm saying that we can start from some states, major states, Lagos State, Kano State, some other states that we know for sure that there are indeed network there, and then some other suburb.
So are you going to disenfranchise those other ones?
No, they are going to conduct election, but they will do it there will not be electronic transmission in those places, but they will still get results.
But that's what the assembly is saying.
So I think
that's what the assembly is saying.
Let us identify the states.
Thank you. Now
Let us identify the states. Let's know the state that we are going electronic base. In Lagos, Kano State, the major state that we know that their network, let us have their list, so that we know that at the end of the day, the court will not give an interpretation that will be otherwise. National Assembly, what we are saying, what I'm saying per se, some Nigerians may not agree with me. Now, because let us forget those people that are protesting there, for me, I think they're wasting their time. National Assembly is not going to do anything. But what we should demand now is that now that the law is about to be sent to the Mr. President to assent to it, my take is that let us request, give us a state, let us identify the state. They are saying that about 9 states, the network is bad thereabouts. So apparently we can go for 25
No,
states.
sorry, sir. Point of order, sir.
Yes.
If they say 9 states, out of those, within those 9 states, we need to know the local governments.
Yes.
So let us bring it down.
Let's bring it down. So it's going to be a 50-50 game.
So
Not
we
that Akpabio and his group will continue to defeat Nigerians at all times. It's not
Apparently, Prince, are you beginning to agree with the Senate now?
He's beginning to agree with.
No,
we
all
are
I'm saying is that
ourselves.
if you are saying 9 states,
yes,
out of those 9 states, how many local governments do not have? If there are 3 local governments, out of those 3 local governments, how many wards within those local governments do not have? If you break it down, let me finish.
Sir.
When you break it down, what it means is that at the end of the day, we now know that in Lagos State, you have 20-something local governments. Out of these 27 local governments, 20 local governments are good to go. The remaining 7, out of these 7, so number of wards are where you can't go at all. The rest are good to go. We'll move forward.
For me, I don't think there's any network issue in most of the states in the western states.
No, I'm not talking, I'm just using that as
an
example.
In west. And then far north, they may have network issue. Middle belt, the same thing. And then far east, I don't know about the east. I can't speak for them. But however, my stand is that, is it that the federal government cannot fund for just 9 states? That's a big question. You are now saying that there's no network in 9 states. Why is it that you can't put money there to fund for that period? So for me, I think they are not serious. They are just interested in their pockets.
All right, we'll keep our eyes on this one. The civil society organizations will gather at the gates of the National Assembly later today, and the Senate is supposed to reconvene later today as well at 11 a.m., where they will deliberate on this issue. So we'll see what happens, and then we'll bring it to you, of course. Let's move on to another conversation, gentlemen. Peter Obi defies the system, declares running under ADC as Nigeria. Well, he has declared to run under ADC. Let's talk about this when we come back.
Awards, the Razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before.
In a world where power
Welcome back. Former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi has formally declared his intention to contest the 2027 presidential election under the African Democratic Congress, ADC, vowing to resist ballot rigging and expose what he calls systematic attempts to keep him off the ballot. Speaking in Uyo at the Obedient Conference, Obi accused INEC of colluding to undermine his former party, Labour Party, and pledged to contest regardless of obstacles. He slammed the Tinubu administration's borrowing spree, warning that repayment timelines stretching into 2045 and 2050 could cripple future generations, while promising to prioritize education, healthcare, and anti-corruption reforms as a foundation of national revival. His fiery declaration drew thunderous applause from supporters who hailed the move as a generational mission to restore dignity, jobs, and security for ordinary Nigerians. Meanwhile, Nigeria's worsening economic crisis under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been spotlighted by a damning global quality of life index, which ranks the country last below Bangladesh, Venezuela, and Sri Lanka, citing inflation, insecurity, poor health care, and collapsing infrastructure. The report has intensified criticisms of Tinubu's leadership, with opposition voices branding his government as incompetent and accusing it of dragging Nigeria into a battle for the world's worst place to live. Prince Chilaka, let's start from the last report here. You know, the index on poverty. I mean, is this a scorecard of the president, current administration?
The president is doing very well. I mean, you have some big companies who will come out tomorrow to tell you that the policies of this government has been accepted worldwide. Yet people are dying of hunger. Yet there is poverty. Yet there is maladministration. Yet your healthcare is zero. So the truth of the matter is that when the National Bureau of Statistics comes out and churns out, inflation has gone down by these food items, and I ask, where do they live? Yeah. Is it that they have a different market that the staffs of the National Bureau of Statistics go to buy things from? They have a different filling station they go to buy petrol from. So it's one thing to say your policy is working. How is it reflecting in the lives of the people? Are the people getting better? Are they looking happier? Are they managing well? This is a country where today landlords have woken up from sleep and increased their rent by 400, 500%. How do you want a man whose minimum wage is 70,000 naira to survive? Because you are a senator, because you're a governor. For instance, a senator is earning 14 million naira a month. So you're comfortable. For you, prices have come down. But I believe that we must bring it back home. We must begin to look at the policies. When government says our policies are working, when you say that inflation has come down, let us look at it, how it reflects in the life of the ordinary Nigerians.
Barrister, it also appears as though this government is not in tune with the realities on ground. And their usual slogan is, it's going to get harder, you know, before it gets softer. That Nigerians should get patience, remain patient. How long do you see us, you know, are we really out of patience, or do you think we'll still give this government another chance in 2027?
I don't think I support failure, and I know that as a matter of fact, you support failure. Nobody celebrates failure all over the world, except APC and their cohorts, because they are benefiting from the system. And that is why you see that an APC member will tell you, Tinubu, Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu built Lagos. Built Lagos under where? Lagos had always been built as far back as the time of Jack Condes and others, and then when the Federal Capital Territory was in Lagos State. So it's not a matter that he could have said he built the what is it called, the moon or the sun thereabouts, bragging up and down. So for me, if you ask me to rate this government, I will give them 0/10. They have failed in all aspects, and I will not want to reckon with them. And I know that, as a matter of fact, Nigerians will come out massively because 2027 is the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and APC. Now that they have decided to frustrate opposition's leaders, you see that anytime the oppositions are holding their meeting, they go there, they ransack them, hoodlums, talk and everything. People cannot even exercise their constitutional rights. The provisions of the Constitution is clear and is supreme. It's not there as a matter of mere cosmetics. It must be followed. More importantly, people's fundamental right, freedom of association. Why are you trying to frustrate the system? Now, as I'm speaking to you today now, we have almost 30, is it 20-something governors now? 29 out of...
30.
Oh, it's 30.
30 is the governor of Adamawa thereabouts. And then one other, the Kano State officially joined them yesterday. Where are we heading to? God forbid for us to operate a one-party system. It's not done.
Barrister, when people in government push this narrative, while the economic policies of this administration is making progress, do you think that they might just be thinking futuristic? Because when they, roll out statistics and data, they say, well, they are looking at governors getting more money because of the removal of fuel subsidy. That is one thing they cite. And the governors have acknowledged clearly where we are receiving more money. And some of them, that are hands-on seem to be delivering dividends, with those monies too. And they say, well, we are looking at dollar to naira exchange stability, after the arbitrage and all of that, the unification. And they say, well, that movement of 16, 17, 18, it's been some kind of stable for a while now, for about 6-8 months, between 1,400 and 1,450. That's the stability they talk about. And when they say, well, the tax reform bills, like Oedele the other day said, even before kickoff, just like in less than 2 months, we're already seeing gains of the tax reform bills, the act that has been signed into law by the president. And we are even told that our foreign reserves, is increasing to the extent that I think we have in excess of $8 billion now and all of that. So do you think that they might just be futuristic in their thinking that if we follow this trajectory, this track, as advised by IMF and World Bank, we might just hit El Dorado, probably, if not in 2027, it's 2029. Do you think in that direction?
You may be deceived, but I'm not deceived by that cosmetics social
I don't have a position. I'm just asking a question.
Yes, some Nigerians, gullible Nigerians may agree with them. All they are doing is a social media platform. This government that you are seeing is a product of social media crusade. You recall when President Jonathan was on board, and then series of protests all over the federation.
So I will narrow it down. I will narrow it down. Narrative. I would like for you to force those things that they are pointing out.
I will narrow it down, but it's important I have a build-up. This is a government that is built on tissues of lies, and I disagree with all that you have highlighted. On the,
all that they have highlighted.
Yes, all that, about 4 items that you listed. One is on the issue of the tax reform. Is it a tax reform that you have failed to educate us on how we are going to tax us? Essence, double taxation all over the federation. Who does that? Double taxation. And then you are not ready to educate us on our rights. That's number one. And then on the issue of being futuristic or thereabout, a good government should have a plan, a trajectory for like 3 months, 6 months, and then you flow with your people, you communicate with your people. It's not how people in Aso Rock are feeding fat. And then you are even talking about, is it a government that is going now on solar? Aso Rock is now going on solar from next month, thereabouts. Is that the government to call people who is concerned about the welfareism of Nigerians, pursuant to Section 14 of the 1999 Constitution? They are not concerned. They are not bothered.
Okay.
All they are concerned about is their personal welfare and advantages. The health sector is abandoned.
The removal of fuel subsidy. The argument that governors are making more money.
Okay, now let me give you a practical example. Assuming more money is now coming to the states, and then state is now paying salary. Somebody was on a salary of 50,000 before. Is now taking, let's say, 100,000. And then the expenses is even more than, you see, because of the fact that most of the things that we consume in this country, they are being regulated by the federal government. The state does not have a say. If you go to Apapa now, and then the inflow of goods and all those things, the excesses and the money people pay now. So for me, I literally do not agree with that. You are pumping more money to the state, and then the level of consumption is more than what you are pumping. So how will you justify that? It's just a deceit. So I do not agree with that. And then whoever that is listening, I know Nigerians will not agree with that.
Okay, Nigerians are looking at monies in their pockets in relation to what the monies can purchase for them. But, government institutions are churning out figures. Now, Emmanuel, let me come to you now. I do believe that we're still in touch with you. I would like for you to unmute your device so we can get your audio feed. Now, great.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Great. Now, isn't it troubling that you see figures like this, saying, oh, Nigeria is the worst place to live, things are really tough in Nigeria. But then, Nigerian Bureau of Statistics churned out some figures yesterday saying inflation has dropped to about 15.10% in January, year on year, down from 15.15% in December. And, they're talking about price of goods coming down, goods and services. And if you look at it, when you do a market survey, you realize that prices of some staple food have come down. Things like rice, things like tomatoes, and a few other things, the prices have come down. But the people still don't have the money to purchase these things. What exactly is the problem? And what issues do you have with the conflicting figure? NBS churning out figures, and then some other bodies churning out figures as well that tend to contradict the figures churned out by Nigerian Bureau of Statistics.
All right. Firstly, to give you a direct position on my statements here today, I want to talk on my own practical experience. Now, I went into planting over 8 hectares of cassava, believing that I could export some and use some for local business and consumption. But to the best of my knowledge, the federal government has placed a ban on exportation. Now, what has this done to the economy? That crashed the price of Gari. I'm talking about practical business I am into. Okay. A basin of Gari actually before was selling for as much as 23,000 when I went into planting early last year. But as of today, Gari is selling for 9,000 naira per basin.
Okay.
I'm pained as I'm talking to you now.
Okay, that's bad for you, but isn't that good for Nigerians?
That's for me. I'm just trying to tell you what I am going through in my own business.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you a few things that is currently wrong with this country that I think government needs to look into. You look at the issue of VDM and B-Lord. B-Lord was selling a bike for about $1 million plus. VDM came online, said sort of things, and he's threatened to import the bikes into the country, and he did same. And that bike crashed to about 750 now. That bike was selling for 1.3 million a couple of months ago. Now the bike is selling for 750. Now, what we Nigerians do to ourselves is that we like inflating pains on ourselves and blame it on government. I'm telling you about something that is very obvious to everybody in this country, that is even on the social media space.
Okay.
B-Lord said, my thing, I will import it for you and deliver for you for 1.3. VDM went into the same business and made the price come down to 750,000. That had not gotten anything to do with statistics. It is just clear act of wickedness. Today, if you go into our market, you see people buy Gari from some of us who produce this Gari in our interiors. They take it to Lagos and Abuja and sell for as much as 20,000. And they will be saying cost of transportation. How much to transport a bag of Gari from Edo State, where I reside, to Abuja? That you are selling it for as much as 20,000. So that leaves us with the blame on government also, that government needs to begin to look into price control. People are really exploiting Nigerians and blaming it on government. I just cited 2 instances here. One with myself.
I'm trying to get your position really. If you're saying you are a producer and then the Gari that before you got into the business it was 20,000,
22,000 per basin.
22,000 per basin, and now it's 7,000 per basin. What does that mean really? That means that 7,500 per basin.
Yeah.
Doesn't that mean that the ordinary Nigerian who just wants Gari to feed can have access to it? Is that not what it means?
Sorry, I didn't get your last statement.
Doesn't that mean, I mean, if it's 7.5 per basin now, down from 22,000 per basin, doesn't that mean that Jane and myself that like Gary, drinking, eating Gary, can easily access Gary as against buying it for 22,000? Isn't that good for the ordinary Nigerian? You know, maybe bad for your business, all right?
Yeah,
But why? Why did the price drop like that? How come you are not, you know, benefiting from it?
Yes, I cited the cause for the price drop. Now, a lot of persons went into farming, and very many of them went into cassava because why? The Chinese were really looking for this cassava produce from Nigeria and buying them to take over to China for their production. Now, at some point in time, government encouraged the exportation, but all of a sudden they placed a ban that there's no more exportation of cassava. Because from cassava you have a lot of byproducts, but here we specialize more on gari and ethanol. Now, if you look at it, we that are the farmers, if you watch majority of the farmers that are in our local interiors, we are complaining, but the average man is benefiting.
So apparently, Emmanuel, you are giving us a
confirmation here.
Emmanuel, are you confirming to us now that the price of gari has dropped in the market?
Drastically. But the price of gari this is what I am into. I'm not saying what somebody told me.
Yes.
I am practically into it, but I'm not telling you now that why the Nigerians and the average Nigerians are not benefiting fully is that these market unions, they are the ones exploiting the processes. You buy gari for me 7.5, you are taking it to the market to sell for 18,000. Is that no more than over 150% profit? So that is where the imbalance is being spotted out. And I also cited an example with the issue of B-Lord. I'm very
Yes, we understand that.
Over an issue of an electronic bike that could also ease movement for entrepreneurs.
All right.
What were they doing? B-Lord was buying that bike for as low as
we understand the B-Lord and VDM Brohaha. We understand all of that, but I'm just trying to. I'm still struggling with understanding availability of Gary.
Let me check. My point there is the inflation.
Okay, inflation.
My point there is the inflation because
inflation is dropping.
You cannot buy something for 300,000. You cannot buy something for 300,000 and bring it into Nigeria and sell it for 1.3 million. That is stealing.
Okay.
That is stealing.
There is importation. Is that importation?
Sorry?
Is importation affecting local producers?
No, what I'm trying to tell you that these are man-made inflations, not economic indices.
Okay.
People are just naturally being wicked.
Okay, so it's not the government now. It's not the government now.
No, it's not. I've cited two examples for you. One is government, one is individuals.
Okay.
Because people are naturally wicked. How can you buy something for 300,000 from China and you are bringing it to Nigeria to sell for 1.3 million? It's solely because there's no regulation. There's no check and balance.
All right.
So that is on one point where I'm still leaving the blame on government. For me now, as a farmer that has spent money, invested my money into farming, I am not happy that I can also make that kind of money. Because if I decide to sell
at the time of investing, it was a lot higher. And then at the time I'm just thinking, at the time of investing, it was a lot higher. And then at the time of
I am now producing, the price has crashed.
The price has crashed.
So who is going to cushion that effect for me? I'm into loss. But if federal government had opened the channel for us to export cassava out of this country, I would have been swimming in millions. You know, so that is where some of us are lamenting, and we're also begging the Tinubu policy to please look at some of these indices that will help us. And number two, part of the reasons why we are also suffering, particularly in the southern part of Nigeria, is that majority of these agri loans, anchor borrower loans, they don't get to we the core farmers. These things are settled within political leaders at that level of politicking. It doesn't get to the actual farmers.
Okay.
It doesn't get to us. So that is why you see some of us are really being discouraged from, going on with this farming. Farming is a very lucrative business, but today the economic policies are not encouraging us at all.
Thank you very much.
That's where I'm trying to sell my points to Nigerians.
Yeah.
And one other aspect I want to quickly chip in before other participants in the studio make their position. Let me be sincere with you. I don't know how we brought about unions in this country. The major problem we have in Nigeria is union.
Oh, yes, we know. Yes, we know.
Union, to the extent that you have
prices.
Toilet Roll Sellers Association,
Yes,
Toilet
Tomato
Roll
Sellers Association and the rest of it.
We have that. We also have what's it called? A toothpick. They have union. And once they bring those things into the country, they will inflate the price. Look at the issue of Dangote, and nobody's saying it. It's really paining me because I'm trying to develop a property now. Dangote is producing cement in Edo State. The cost of transporting that cement from Okpela to Benin City is far more cheaper, far more expensive than transporting the cement from Okpela to Kanu, which is more than over 400 kilometers, and to Edo State that is just 70 to 80 kilometers from Okpela. We buy cement more expensive in Benin City than in Kanu. Why is it so? It is solely because of union.
Oh, okay.
It is solely because of union. Even at some point in time when Bua decided to crash the price of cement, they were selling this cement cheaper to the distributors.
Okay.
Because the distributors belong to a union, they will insist on selling at that price.
Well, thank you very much, Emmanuel. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, but I absolutely get your position, and you've taken us, you've shown the light on a different aspect of this. The unions and man-made problems, basically making the position of government difficult, isn't it? Prince Francis Chilaka,
Yes.
You've been chocolate.
Yes. You know why I'm laughing? In trying to make his point, he has also shot himself in the leg. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I'm a farmer. I'm a businessman. I'm investing to make profit. And as at the time I wanted to make the investment, I did my projections and it was clear. Now he's gone into the business. Government policy in one hand is affecting the business. How long do you think he will last in that business? He will go under very soon. Call me, please, sir. He will no, sir. He will go under very soon. When it goes under, what happens? The prices of the food items that have dropped will still go up. So the government needs to have a policy that protects you as an investor from any loss. That is where it comes from.
So it still comes back to the government.
It comes back to the government.
How about
because
the
if the government,
How about the unions? Because he mentioned the unions.
Let's leave the unions. Let's leave the unions.
Let's not leave the unions.
I'm going to talk about them, but let's leave them.
Okay, we'll talk about them.
As at the time he was going in, there was no ban on export. Now the government has looked at it and said, for the food to be available to Nigerians, we need to
don't export.
Keep it here. He's going to be losing. Because
so
his
original, prefer to export?
His original projection, he said it, in going into that business, is for export.
Yeah. So
at the end of the day, what will he do? He will close his shop. When he closes his shop, what happens? That euphoria that we have enjoyed will skyrocket again. So when you're talking about farming and you're talking about products coming down, he has raised one issue, which is government policy. Another issue he hasn't raised is the issue of insecurity. How many farmers are going to their farms? It still boils down to government. So in reeling out figures to make the people happy, and that's what I keep saying, when you reel out figures, you want the people to be happy. Does it reflect in their daily lives? Now, talking about unions, we all know why you have unions. Unions originally are meant to protect those within the same sector. But over time, especially, I'll talk of the industry where I know very well, the maritime industry. We have found out that the regulators are not conniving with outsiders to harm stakeholders.
And government.
And government. So government is the one who appointed the regulators. But the regulators, rather than doing what they are meant to do, are now conniving with those who they are supposed to say, instead of charging 15 naira, we will ask you to charge 10 naira. They will collect something from these people and tell them to increase their price to 100 naira.
Okay.
So the corruption in the system is what the government needs to curb. When the government comes to corruption, things will get better.
Okay, well, this what you just said now reminds me of what happened in Oyo State not too long ago, where the unions were making price of goods, making the price of goods too high, and the government had to say, look, let the union stop, and then individuals can sell at whatever price that they want to sell. Now, Mr. Adam Zata, let's have your concluding thoughts on this one. Should we, because if government is saying headline inflation is dropping, and some Nigerians still cannot afford things that they ordinarily want to afford, and those who have invested, like the farmers that we've spoken to today, both of them, talking about Emmanuel Agbogu and Prince Francis Chilaka, are complaining about the policies of government, how it affects farmers. What are your thoughts really? Should there be a different market for those who produce to export and those who produce for local consumption? Should there be that channel to ensure that everybody gets what they want at the end of the day?
I have this impression that the government is happy that people can now buy Gary and feed on Gary on it.
Nigerians are happy that they can buy Gary at cheaper prices.
I agree with that, but is that what we should be looking at? Is that protein? Is Gary? Is it protein?
No, but it's not only Gary. It's not only the price of Gary.
What the government is bragging over now is Gary more.
No, we're talking about food availability.
It's not all food that is available.
Price has come down.
So I agree with that, but for what my point is that whether or not the price have dropped, the government needs to regulate the system. You cannot be junketing from one place to another, and then you don't have a projection. People will now go and invest money, investors will come and invest money, all of a sudden you shut down the system. Is that how it operates? Investors are going to withdraw. And that is why you see that even now the Americans are beginning to prognose into the running of our affairs. They are now going to clash with the Chinese that have been our investors, major investors over time. So how do you now want to justify that? So for me,
a lot of Nigerians will justify that because a lot of Nigerians are not even happy with the activities of the Chinese in Nigeria.
Over time, okay. Why don't you ask yourself where are the British that colonize us? Why don't you ask yourself?
Where are they?
Where are they? Where are the British?
When you talk about the Chinese, what form of investment are the Chinese making here in Nigeria?
Most of the electronic gadgets we're using, even all over the world.
The Chinese are not making investment.
They are not making
Let us be
investment.
very honest. The Chinese are ripping Nigeria off.
They are ripping us.
Taking our mineral resources.
However, the big question is, where are the British that colonize us? Where are they? Where are the British that colonize us? Americans now want to now come and recolonize this country
again. They are not colonizing. They are coming to fighting security.
I don't know.
That's what they're doing.
Whichever way. That's how you see it.
Let's move away from that conversation. Let's talk about politics now. Politics. DSS files 3-count charge. Okay, well, not politics per se. DSS files 3-count charge against El-Rufai for intercepting Ribadu'S phone conversation. That's talking about the National Security Advisor's phone conversation. Let's x-ray this when we come back from this break.
Africa is on the move, a continent of rising voices, untold stories, and powerful transformations. From the streets of Lagos to the heart of Nairobi, from the mines of Congo to the tech labs of Cape Town.
Well, thank you very much for staying with us. Now, the Department of State Services, DSS, has filed charges against former Kaduna State Governor, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, accusing him of unlawfully intercepting a private phone conversation from the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. The DSS, which also confirmed the seizure of El-Rufai's passport, insists the move was necessary to prevent further breaches of national security. The presidency has accused El-Rufai of deliberately stoking tension and diverting public attention from pressing national issues, a claim that has also deepened division within the political class. In a major twist of events, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar publicly hailed El-Rufai on his birthday, describing his record of service as undeniable, a message widely interpreted as a subtle show of solidarity amid the trouble that El-Rufai is going through right now. Social media has erupted with viral clips of El-Rufai supporters denouncing what they call a witch hunt through a protest, while critics argue that the allegations expose dangerous cracks in Nigeria's governance and security apparatus. We have joining us now is Elvis Elimehele, public affairs commentator. We also have Prince Francis Chilaka and Emmanuel Agbogun, also from our Benin station. Let me start off with you. Elvis, welcome to the conversation. Good morning to you. Good to have you. So, in the eye of the storm now, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, yesterday, I wish we have the charge sheet. It was put out on social media yesterday. So, but anyway, he's been charged for intercepting the NSA's phone conversation and a few other things there. What do you make of this charge? And this they say is a diversion from major national issues. But what are your thoughts, really?
Well, the big question here, Moses, is why El-Rufai again? If he has gone through with all this kind of careless talk from him some years back, if he has gone through it without being questioned, I think it's high time we start reminding ourselves that we need to do the needful.
You think it's careless talk? Because when he was accosted at the airport and they tried arresting him when he just came from Cairo, Egypt, where they seized his passport, these charges were not part of the reasons the DSS wanted him at the time.
Yeah.
Does it seem like right after that television interview, and he made the statements that he made that he knows someone who hacked into, does it seem like they didn't have anything against him initially and he just basically talked himself into trouble?
Well, probably the initial one was, he has some case to answer with the state government concerning about 400 and something billion corruption during his stay.
So how come that's not on the table right now?
I think they will still get there. They will still get there. But this one came like, this one in my place, they said when two trees fall on top of each other, you have to first of all remove the top one. So this one looks more. I was going to his talks, the way he talks. Remember in 2015, when we were preparing for 2015 election, everywhere was tense, all in the name of Jonathan must go. He made some statement then that if the foreign observers that are coming, if they are not careful, body bags.
They'll live in body bags.
They'll live in body bags. That was a threat to national security. For such statement to come from an opposition as it were there, and at the climax of a national election, a general election. But Jonathan, being whom he is, just overlooked it, and even when the election came, they said he won and he handed over. Now look at what he has said again now, that National Security Advisor's telephone. Somebody hacked it for you and told you that this was the discussion. Do you know what that means? That means even that telephone discussion of National Security Advisor that they are able to hack is an insecurity to all of us that are in this nation.
Indeed, absolutely. Absolutely. But then, Prince Francis Chilaka, isn't it troubling that Nigeria's National Security Advisor, Mr. Nuhu Ribadu, can have his car stolen? Isn't it troubling that he can have elements within his office, fingered for supporting or, aligning with Boko Haram? Isn't it troubling that the NSA himself can, in the public, make statements like some policemen are stealing weapons and selling to terrorists? Isn't it troubling that the Office of the National Security Advisor was also fingered in arming Miyetti Allah individuals with logistics, cars, and weapons to help Nigeria, help the Office of the NSA and Nigeria by extension, fight insecurity in the forest? Isn't it troubling that his phone was bugged? Isn't it troubling that, how then do we have that office? Do we have that individual still occupying that office? And what kind of advice can he give to the presidency at this time?
You ruled out the things I wanted to say, and I think to a large extent, Nigerians, once we hate somebody, we must kill that person, give him a bad name, like a dog, and kill that person. Now, we're not asking questions, and you've raised some of the issues. Why is it that everything that has to do with insecurity, the office of the NSA has been pointed, has been put on the spotlight? Why is it that, do you know what it means for an NSA? Don't forget, every security apparatus reports to him. Then for him to the president. Do you know that it is the height of ineptitude, the height of cluelessness, the height of stupidity that the office of the NSA will admit publicly that his phone is hacked?
Yeah, he hasn't come out to that.
No. Please, sir, come in, sir.
He hasn't come out.
No. Somebody has responded. Somebody from the office of the NSA responded. He gave a press briefing. If the phone of the NSA is hacked, then you know that our security problem has just started.
Prince, I just wish that we had enough time, to interrogate all of this. Now, let's bring it back to El-Rufai, the man in the eye of the storm. Everything that is around him now, going about him, do you think he's politically motivated? Do you think it has anything to do with being a member of ADC or 2027?
Well, the steps the government is taking is pointing to that direction. Before now, Malami was in APC because he was the faction of the late Buhari, that's CPC. The moment he left APC, joined ADC, declared for governorship, his travel started. You see, there is a way you fight corruption that people will not see a hidden agenda in it. First of all, the government actually embarrassed itself at the airport. All that drama was not necessary at the airport. And the man was clear, he stood his ground. You want to arrest me, I don't have a problem, but do it properly.
Okay, Prince, now you believe it's clearly, showing that it might be politically motivated.
Yes, it is.
Now, let's run to Emmanuel Abogun, the guest who joined us virtually from Benin today. Emmanuel, I understand that, I'm sure that you are still with us, and if you are, if you look at what is going on between Nasir El-Rufai and Nuhu Ribadu, the National Security Advisor, former FCT Minister on the other side, talking about El-Rufai, former Kaduna State Governor and former FCT Minister. In all of this, between the two of them, in all that has happened, who will you describe as the hero and the villain here between the two of them? What's going on? Let us understand your perception of all that is happening between them.
Honestly, I would want to say that El-Rufai has lost it. You would agree with me that the commenter earlier before me said that in 2015 he made mention about body bags and even threatened to run a parallel government. And he believes that those same ideology or those same philosophies of his will still work under Tinubu, forgetting that Tinubu was the merger that brought about the Buhari government. Let me say this and say this very clear. The thinking behind El-Rufai's statement is just this northern supremacy of a thing. If it were to be Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, would the EFCC not arrest him at the airport there? You saw how he was moving around with northerners all in northern attire, saying that they cannot arrest him. My brother, if the directive from the EFCC chairman is to arrest El-Rufai, he will be arrested. Northern card, this Ariwa card all the time, believing that this issue of ethnicity will be what will always stand. And for me, I feel very disappointed in the kind of politics El-Rufai is playing. I'm sincerely telling you, these people are not coming out to tell us what they will do to manage Nigeria better. They are only fighting for their common interests of how they will continuously remain in the corridors of power. What is the ideology behind the ADC? When I look at virtually all of them in that political party, managing Nigerian common patrimony for years. Look at David Mark. So when I look at all these people, I just shake my head. But the issue of El-Rufai should know that the office of the National Security Advisor is a very delicate office when it comes to the issue of security of lives and property. And when you see somebody like El-Rufai saying that they've been able to tap the phone of the NSA, it goes a long way to tell you that these are the guys sponsoring insecurity in this country. If you can tap an NSA's phone, is it my phone or your phone that they cannot tap? And where on earth did they get those devices to tap the NSA's phone? And who is also supporting them? Who is also supporting them to do all of this? And where are they getting the technology from to do all? Because for you to tap a phone, you must also have a network facility. So what this implies is that these people are also running a counter security technology system against the government of Nigeria, and that amounts to treasonable felony.
Treasonable felony.
Because you want to take power at all costs. For crying out loud, El-Rufai has been Minister of FCT, he has been Director of BPE, he has also been a governor.
Oh, well, this will be, well, thank you very much, Emmanuel.
To do for Nigeria or Nigerians that he has not been given opportunity to
good
do.
Place to
so they are sending a wrong message.
Yes,
to our
there's a lot to unbundle in all of this, but we don't have all the time to do that right here on this show. But we'll pick it up some other time, I'm sure, because the events are, developing. So we'll pick it up some other time. Thank you very much for coming on the program. Emmanuel Agbogun, public affairs commentator and human rights advocate, member coalition of civil society organization. Thank you for your time. And big thanks to Prince Francis Chilaka, a public affairs commentator, and Elvis Elimehele, also a public affairs commentator. I do expect that Elvis will stay with us into newspaper review. Well, that's it on the show this morning. A newspaper review comes up shortly. All right, we'd like for you to come along with us as we dissect the headlines later this morning, in about a few minutes, actually. I'm Moses Humphrey, wishing you a beautiful day. Stay with us. Join us again at 10. Bye for now.
And I'm Chukwu Mokoro. See you again. Bye for now.
And I'm Jane Ogoye. Please join us tomorrow morning.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.